And go.
Da, 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 da.
Oh,
What just happened?
I think we're
Are we
live.
live?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of BSing with the Bear and Jamie. You have a special treat from the two of us. We are completely out of our minds today. I don't know if it's the weather, the virus, the baby in the background, but it's been quite the day for me. And Jamie seems to have had a delicious pizza and a week with no sleep. But how are you doing regardless of the shitty lack of sleep? And how is that pizza?
No, all good. I'm all good now. Pizza was actually pretty good. I can't take the props. The dough's the best, most important part, and the other half did it, to be fair. So I can't really. She just let me do the artsy bit and just sprinkle things on. So yeah, it was all right. Yeah, I can't complain. And now, yeah, let's just smash this. Got my whiskey. So a great time to have a nice long weekend after this. To be fair, man. Yeah, all good. How's your week been? It's been all right.
Yeah, week's been busy. Seems like a lot of interest in gold and silver from my business, which is good. Doing some trading.
Ka-ching. Dollar boo.
Yeah, banana hammocks are in the, doing well. I don't know what. Anyway, let's just jump in. This is going to be one hell of a show, guys. You're going to enjoy it. And it's also going to be, we always say it's going to be short, but this time it actually has to be short. I'm going up to Boston for the weekend in the next hour or so. So I just wanted to get a show off, keep our every Friday tradition going and not leave Jamie in the dark, because Jamie said if we didn't do a show, he'd find me here and destroy me. Actually, he didn't say that, but I would destroy myself. Anyway,
destroy the planet.
Let's jump into our disclaimer. You want to take it away? We're not professionals. We're not certified.
Well, if you're going to leave me with the most fun parts, then I would gladly love to talk. I mean, we could spend half an hour talking about it, to be honest.
No,
I mean,
fuck that.
It's for informational and educational purposes only. We can only say that this is what we're going to be talking about today. Just the disclaimer. So the material should not be interpreted as investment advice, an endorsement of any stocks, ETFs, futures, options, currencies, cryptocurrencies, or an offer to buy, sell, hold, or trade stocks, ETFs, futures, options, currencies, cryptocurrencies, and leprechauns. True story. So yeah, that's about it.
I love, I don't know about you, but I actually had a wonderful day trading leprechauns on Wednesday. They were, every day on March 18th, they go on sale. It's incredible. You can buy them so cheap.
Yeah, I had to jump out of bed really quickly because I woke up and there was just so many rainbows and I was like, shit, I'm missing out. So I FOMO'd and I ran all the way to the end of the rainbow and then it just went. I was wrecked. Oh.
Is that why gold's going up?
No risk management at all.
You found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
It's gone.
Wait, so I heard you were trying to convince me to get into that GSX short. Why don't we go over that first? Because that looked like
we're going to go over the stocks. Okay, yes. So quite a risky one, to be honest. So we've had so many tensions over the past probably the last month, 2 months now with the US and China. So there's been so many little debacles been going on between the two of them. And then one that is on the verge of being delisted, it seems, which was Luckin Coffee, which was a Chinese stock. And I was quite lucky with that one, to be honest. I mean, back in the day when it first came out, I was actually quite bullish on it because of the results coming out from it. And I was fortunate enough to make money out of LK. And then Muddy Waters came out with a report. I think it was Muddy Waters anyway with the LK. So this is kind of a similar scenario. So this is another Chinese company again. And I was having a look at different ones because of what happened with LK. And I thought, well, if others come out, then the other reports come out, well, is it worth the risk? And I mean, the way that these companies are valued, just to give I think the LTM PE is at around 150 for this stock. Very.
What is that fancy term you just threw out, you professional?
Oh no, so the price to earnings ratio of the last 12 months for GSX is so it's actually 150, which in general
That's-
is very high. I
that-
mean, high. It's justified in the growth that they were achieving, basically. So the growth you're looking at around 250% for the fiscal year. So obviously, you had a lot of premium priced into it, which is fair enough. It's China. Everybody wants to get on the bandwagon, etc. In this environment, however, having this type of company again is quite good for the company. So they're an online education company. So this is, of course, bullish with people being on lockdowns, etc. But then as soon as we started seeing the reports come out, so Muddy Waters did I think it was like a 30-page document, basically saying that most of the people coming into the classes were actually bots. I think they've calculated somewhere a high probability of around 80%, and they think around 90% of the revenue is not actually real. Now, until that's obviously confirmed, which is going to be really difficult, I mean, it's hard to play, but I mean, where it was from a price action point of view, but also with what's happened with LK, the tensions from like a geopolitical perspective and everything that's going on, it just seems basically worth the risk reward. So I started having a little bit more of a research into it, doing a little bit more digging, etc. Try to understand the report. I'm not a clever human, so it took me a long time to get to try and. I mean, I'm not very technical with software and all of that, and they were using all these type of words that I had to Google 1,000 times. So in the end, I thought, well, risk reward's okay. I didn't look at the options simply because the premium would have been really high. But also, if this does get to a point where it's an LK-esque stock, that it could get delisted. I mean, you're kind of in trouble from options from that point of view. Whereas if it looks like it's going to be delisted from a stock point of view, you can at least try and get out quickly. Whereas options is a little bit more. I mean, I suppose you just lose your premium. So I mean, I shorted it a couple of days ago. About half a position at the moment. So I fully expect this to have a lot of choppy action, especially since it being a Chinese stock. Who knows what can happen? And with a long weekend that we've got ahead, so the markets are closed on Monday for people who don't know. So I think I'll wait to see what's going on from until Tuesday and see what happens over the weekend. If we get reports where the SEC are going to investigate it or what have you, then we'll obviously see that in the price on Tuesday. I think it might bounce back up just to really shake the short sellers, simply because it does feel like a bit of a crowded trade, to be honest. There's a lot of retail traders in on this one because of what's happened with LK. So you've always got to be cautious when there's a lot of retail traders in it, because usually they are the last ones in at the party. But I mean, from the historical perspective of Muddy Waters, I mean, they've delisted 6 companies, Chinese companies previously. So, this isn't just them just doing a stab in the dark. They do quite a number of months of investigations on the companies. So, this could easily go one way or the other. If it does go to the upside, well, I'm not going to lose much. I'm just going to keep my 10%, do a scratch on the head, and then that's it. But then if it does end up being a fraudulent company, then, I mean, if you look at LK, I mean, LK at the moment is at, I think, so when it did actually come out, the report that they came out for LK, you were looking at around, I think it was 26 or something like that, and now it's down to 3. So, so that's basically all I'm looking at the moment. And then the other one I'm looking at as well, for some reason it's not working for me. Hear me?
What are you looking up?
Hello, could you hear me?
Yep, I think you just cut out for a second.
Oh, right, okay, cool. So from a GSX one, I'm just looking for a simple target price of 22.7, just looking at the valuations and comparing it to the rest of the sector. And then the only other one I'm on is CACC. I've spoken about this numerous times. So, I mean, we'll see how this one runs out. They actually didn't come out with their earnings a couple of weeks ago. The shareholders, the CEO came out with a report, did a 10Q, speaking about basically the difficulties that they're under, but it's not going to be bad, etc., etc. But they've come out with an earnings release date now on the 27th. So I think that'll be a make or break for the stock. Regarding this one, I think there's a couple of ways this could go. You're either going to have really bad results, worse than expected from analysts, or you're going to have it where they're going to be able to speak about maybe they've raised enough capital to get them through this period. So again, this one will be one or the other, but I'll be keeping a close eye on both of them for now. But that's about it, to be honest. I mean, China, US, that's been the main thing. I mean, for me, I'll quickly go over this, is basically just trying to work out what's being priced into the market, what's not priced in. And then, if these scenarios play out of the uncertainties or what could happen, then it's just basically, I've just been trying to look for good cross-sector spread trades just to try and be ahead of it and then be able to have those on the watch list and then ready to take advantage. And if the opportunity opens up with the scenarios that are still uncertain at the moment. So yeah, that's about it, to be honest, from a stock market perspective, from me, sir.
I love when you have trades. It's great. You've got that GSX was really juicy. You almost sucked me into doing it. I just don't short sell stocks. I prefer to express it through options. And I was close to doing it on that, but I just, I didn't take it. But that Luck and Coffee thing, we talked about that back in February. And we've gone over that before, just how far down that's crashed. So that's crazy. But I mean, as far as some of the fundamental stuff that we should just quickly talk about, I tweeted out, let me share my screen. Hold on a second. Do you remember, that exit strategy, the US reported statistics that were broken down by state? Those seem to be really, really interesting.
Yeah, that was cool. I've been looking at those today.
Yeah, so let me pop over here. Let me just organize myself. Oh, there. I hear something being poured. What are you drinking?
Popping bottles in the ice.
Do share.
It's got to be done.
Yeah, you got the Talisker going?
No, Glenmorangie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, lovely. Simply lovely.
All right, so I'm going to go through. I think we're going to have to be drinking heavily after we go through some of this data. But this site seems to do a good job of correlating and easily displaying the state by state 14-day trend of COVID positive in the last 14 days. So states of note would be states like Arkansas, Arizona, California, Texas, Florida. These are all states that have opened up, and even Georgia. Georgia seems to be the exception here. It seems to be doing okay. Their case count is down 6%, but over the last 14 days, it seems steady. And that, to me, is not a good sign. What they should have been doing is waited for the case count to go down, and we should have seen a consistent 14-day decrease, which we did not. And now it seems like it is steadily in the 600s. Same thing, I mean, big problem with Florida is over the last 14 days, this is going up slightly. I don't see why this is, I mean, look, Arkansas has tripled their case count since opening up. California seems like they don't have any decreases in case count. Texas was like 20-something% yesterday, but it seems like their rolling 14-day period made this a little bit more palatable with a 1% increase here, or flat, and then other states, this is just something interesting to watch. And then Trump comes out today and he's got some urgent press conference crap, and I'll just bring up zero edge here, or more like pessimistic doom and gloom. Trump declares houses of worship are essential. And if the state governors allow the services or don't, he will override them. I mean, what the fuck? I don't get it. Let's just get a whole bunch of people in one room. All you need is one person to have this thing sneeze the wrong way, cough, whatever. I don't even know if they're going to be wearing masks inside. This is ridiculous. I'm very concerned about bringing a large group of people together under one roof. That just doesn't smell good to me. And then a couple of other things going on with unemployment, and the Fed seems to be printing more money. I mean, no surprises here. The vaccine situation, I don't know if we need to talk about that. But let's just go and talk technicals. Let's go look at some charts. SPY here heading into close. Well, actually, before I do, the point of all of this And in fact, I have another interesting anecdote, which would be I talked to a family member who put their mortgage on deferment through Wells Fargo. And Wells Fargo gave them 3 months back in March to put off paying their mortgage. No fees, no interest, no late fees, no minimum payments until May. So March, April, May. So no payments until this month. They just called back again and said they're going to let them continue doing that until August. So to me,
No way.
yeah. So
Man,
that's
this stuff is going to unravel until the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, this is just bad. If you're going to be putting this off, and even the same with credit card companies. I read a really interesting article on Zero Hedge about credit card companies and all of the accounts that are in deferment and how those are not being counted as being defaults. Once that starts coming in, you're going to see the credit card companies coming under fire and banks coming under fire. I mean, let's just take a look at the XLF. I think Jamie might be singing in the background there.
Oh no, I think these are some hoodlums in the streets. Let me close the window, sir.
Wait, no, go scream at them. I want to hear you tell them in your accent to fuck off. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. No.
Hold them to the moon.
Yeah. Oh God, I think my trading view might be crapping out.
Yeah, mine was doing the same, to be honest.
Oh, great. Just what we needed. How the hell are we going to do a TA show? And oh, here we go. All right, XLF. So banking. I mean, really, this thing has done nothing. If you overlay the S&P over this chart, I mean, if this doesn't scream bearish to you, you're nuts, right? Like this looks like shit. So you've got the S&P making, at least rallying to some extent, trying to retest some of the old highs back from, I mean, I don't know. The question really ultimately becomes, do we test this 3,000 level on the S&P? My scale's a little off just from having the XLF on here. But, I mean, this looks like crap. So we can go through and look at some of the specific banks like, again, Wells Fargo was one of the ones that came to mind because of my family member. But other ones that have credit card exposure would include Citicard. I mean, they're going to have problems. Look at this. This chart looks the same. So here's the thing. When is this going to break down? Everybody's talking about how the market looks like shit. It's a great time to short. Everyone and their mother's calling me up and like, I'm freeing up cash because I'm ready to short the market. I'm sorry, but if everybody's looking for this thing to crash, it's just not going to happen. And that's what it's just plain and simple. Everything is shit. But the Fed's printing money, they're supporting the markets the best that they can, and all the banks and the credit cards are putting this shit off as long as they can. So if August is the month that Wells Fargo starts making people pay and the credit card companies start forcing people out of deferment and into default, then we'll start to see the real cracks. But the article basically said, I'll have to find it, that all of these places, all of these companies, every single one has serious default exposure that could really impact their bottom line here. And they wouldn't be able to use their slush fund that they use for stock buybacks, and instead they would have to use that money to bail themselves out. But there are a lot of people that think the government's going to bail them out, make mortgages cover, give money to the banks so that they can cover people's lost mortgage payments, whatever. I think we're a little too early for that. I think the U.S. is pushing toward reopening and making it seem like business as usual. That's fine. Go and try. They really have no other choice because people are going nuts here. I don't know about in the UK, but people are rallying outside with, in groups. Look, if they didn't open the country back up, there would be violence. People would be freaking out. I mean, there's already lines at food banks that are 5 hours long because people can't get their jobs. I just don't see, you can reopen the business, but at what cost to the business? How are they going to have the same revenue? Look, that's another discussion.
That's another discussion, but it's a really important point. Here in the UK, I mean, like you say, kicking the can down the road when it comes to payments, the furlough scheme, I think we spoke about this last week. So the furlough scheme here is now until the end of October. So, I mean, as long as you can live on what you're getting paid with the furlough scheme here in the UK, again, you're not going to really see much change other than maybe unemployment numbers where you're definitely going to start seeing companies start laying off people permanently now. So, yeah, from that perspective as well, I mean, the people here, I can't really talk for the whole of UK, simply because everyone's kind of decoupled from one another. So, for example, England now they've had a little bit less easing, so they can go out, etc. They can meet another household or whatever. Whereas for Scotland and Wales, so I'm in Wales, we're still on lockdown here. And then, yeah, I mean, regarding the banks, I think as well, I feel like the broader market is still a little bit. It's as if they're pricing in negative rates for the US for the banks because unless they start doing what Japan do and they start controlling the yield curve and make it a little bit steeper, then I can see the banks like going up from here. Never mind like going down. But then yeah, it's really difficult. And then it depends on which banks are more exposed. I mean, I don't really look at bank stocks too much. So, as well, I know HSBC here in the UK has been hit quite hard because of the exposure to Hong Kong, which is another thing that you have to take into account if you're looking at stocks. Is if they've got a lot of exposure to that part of the world, then you have to take it into account. So, there's just so many moving pieces. Like you say, that it's a really difficult one at the moment. So I mean, unless you can really, I mean, it is a stock picking territory. Whereas if you can actually look for individual stocks that aren't like where you can think of the scenarios that could happen, that could be priced in the future. But at the moment, we're just not at that point. We're just not, unless something terrible happens over the weekend that turns the market south. But like you say, if most retail traders are short, which they are, it's even more to say that we could just keep rallying all the way up. I mean, from a TA perspective, like you, like at the top, I mean, you've got a nice juicy gap at the top there. So, I mean, if you're just looking at gaps, then yeah, you could easily just go all the way back to where we were before this all began, and then maybe go down from here. You just don't know. So you just got to take it week by week. Yeah. Agreed,
Yeah.
sir.
And we're just getting theta burned on the positions that we put on the paper trading account. And you know what? You make a great point about what's going on in Hong Kong and with China. That's like a totally different show we could do on that. But that's a disaster. I mean,
Yeah.
their market just got raped. Sorry, no, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but
Got touched in an inappropriate place.
it really did. This thing was down 5.5%. Like, is this an ominous sign that's to come in the U.S. market? I don't think so. I think this is just a direct, specific event for these markets. But nonetheless, the risk is always on the table now at this point. Like, all it takes is one state to come out and say, we had X number of cases rise, or, this number of defaults on loans, or, look, there's even, I saw an article about the Mall of America that they couldn't make their payments for their rent. That place is enormous. I don't even know how much that thing costs, but they had to talk about financial relief for that. I mean, malls are fine. Look, it's just the risk is system-wide. And the market right now is merely pumping up to the levels that it was at before so that the insiders can get out. And I just don't see how this thing goes and makes new highs and continues moving higher with what is on the table coming forward, with the virus, with the looming collapse of businesses, with the default risks. I mean, this is just, it's system-wide. 2008, that was different. There was a specific reason for that. It's crazy. Like, this is everything. Anyway, whatever. The point is, we've got a trade on the S&P that looks like shit right now. Here it is, 275 puts. We paid 548, and they are worth 336 right now. We're just going to get theta burned if this thing doesn't come off. I don't mind sticking with this for another week or two just to see if we can get movement. Does it make sense to roll this thing to a higher strike? I don't really want to burn more on this. Maybe we'll try to get off. So let's just see. We're down about 38%. Generally around 40 to 50% loss on any option position, and I'm closing this thing out. So we're going to have to keep a watch on this because I don't want this thing to go to zero, even though I've sized the account properly. It just sucks. Like, what if this thing's just going to go sideways and theta burn us into June? We're going to lose the time value of this option. There's no point in just getting run over and over again by the steam machine here. So let's
Steam machine.
whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. This fucking steam machine, and you're like, we'll take it off next week. So I don't think I have any new trades. They may come to me. Oh yeah, actually I do. I've. Let's just go through the existing ones, and we'll end with the VIX. So the next one is the SLV. This one came right into our profit area. I mean, look at this, almost perfect. Now, if I need to do more, maybe updates. I don't know if you guys are really following these positions really closely or not.
I am.
Yeah, fuck you. You're not doing shit, Mr. Short Seller. You're the reason why the market's going down. Donald Trump told me short sellers are evil. Anyway, I think it's time to take some profits. You can see that we're getting overbought. Volume's coming down. I mean, let's take a look at this position. We had the $15 call and sold the 17 call. We're up 120% on this fucking thing. Oh, shit. The market closed 2 minutes ago. Fucking I don't know if this is going to let... Wow, I need to stop cursing here. I don't think this thing's going to let me sell my vertical. Sell at 92, create order. Here we go. Is this going to make me do some bullshit here? Here we go. All right, so I can sell this thing at... I'm going to make this full screen. So this is simple. When you make 120 to 150% on a position, you take your fucking profits. Now, there's other ways of finessing this where we could roll it up and we could extract the value out of that option, reposition it, whatever. But at this point, I think that there's a risk for that market, for the SLV and GLD, which did not do as well, to come down. And I'll explain that in a second here. And that is the dollar. I think that we're going to get a strong dollar here coming out of the gate. And that's going to exert some pressure, downward pressure on silver, on gold. And plus, they've just come so far so fast. I think that we're going to see the narrative that things are okay and things are opening up, and the upward momentum for those markets is just going to wane a bit. Plus, all the fucking people that buy from me, the stupid public, when they want to buy the fucking top, they're ringing the bell, calling my phone every goddamn minute, wanting to buy gold and silver hand over fist. And to me, that's a huge sign that it's time for this market to cool off a little bit. So I'm going to close that SLV trade. We can look to get back into it. So let's see, price 93 cents. Let's see, what's this thing trading at right now? So the difference here, yeah, so I'm going to buy this thing back for 93 cents. It's not telling me what I paid for it. It's kind of annoying. I hope I don't fuck this up here. You'll have to bear with me. Confirm and send. I don't think this is going to work here. Monitor. Let's see. Working orders. Yeah, the market's closed.
This ID?
Sorry, Jamie, you broke up there. Jamie, is that me breaking up or is that you?
Which brokerage are you using?
This is TD. Think or
sure.
swim. Think or swim. You sound better now.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well, regardless, I'm closing this thing out as soon as I can in the paper account. I mean, we made $4,000 on the position. Yeah, market says buzz off. It's a holiday. Yeah, pretty much, Ryan. All right. So that's the I'm going to close the SLV once we can. Again, if you're like taking similar positions or you're trading these things, I'm interested to hear back how you did or how you stylized the trade yourself. The other thing is the Scorpio tankers we have out until June. This is just a dog. But if you take a look at the chart, I mean, all the hype has kind of worn off. Everyone's kind of perplexed. Why didn't the shippers explode? What happened with them? I mean, look, this thing's just going down into reload zone. It's nicely consolidating. I still like this. In fact, I think this is a great area to be buying. 78.6. We're into an oversold territory. Volume hasn't come back up yet, but all it takes is a quick pop and this thing could at least go up a couple bucks. You can make money on that. I guess so. I bought 500 shares and I sold the $15 puts. So I'm still fine on this thing. This will expire and I'll get to pocket the premium that I got, 75 cents per contract or $75 per contract. Fine. That's nice. But maybe we'll look into this next week if it hasn't exploded higher. There might be a good way of getting into a longer dated option, maybe October's or even 2021's. Next is Starbucks. This thing just will not. It's like the S&P. This chart looks very similar. It hasn't come off yet. Where's my full screen here? DXY. Okay, so Starbucks, same thing, right? Like, unless the S&P breaks down, this thing's not going to. But interestingly, this hasn't made new highs since the bounce like the S&P did, but still has a little bit of strength to it. We're still in the $70 puts. We're not as destroyed on this as we are on the S&P and the GLD, but nonetheless, I'm going to keep this on still. I kind of like it. We've got out until July. I think there's a chance we get a little bit of a sell-off, and that's when we'll reposition all these trades, maybe extract some profit, because I don't think we're going to get the sell-off in the summer that everybody's looking for. I think it's going to be toward the end of the summer, and I look, that's just my opinion. We'll see. The GLD, that's the last one, and then we'll go over the VIX trade that I took in my account. GLD, we bought the 165s and sold the 172s. Is that right? Yeah, we bought the 165s, sold the 172s. We bought more 165s than we sold, so we're a little off balance here on this trade, just by the way I put it in. That's a problem. We're down 31%. I mean, look, I still think that if we've got the idea that SLV is going to come off a little bit, then GLD should as well. GLD is, of course, tracking gold. So let's take a look at the spot market. I use XAU USD. You can use GC1, whatever the fuck you want. Doesn't matter. Let's use the futures contract. I mean, it hasn't really broken down. So it's not the end of the world by any means. In fact, this kind of looks like a cup and saucer. You can see this is like the cup here, and then you kind of got the little, or sorry, cup and handle. This may be the handle. I like taking profits on the SLV because we're 150% in there, or 120, whatever. Got to take that off the table. GLD, if this thing breaks down to these levels here, look, we're kind of filling that gap. This really doesn't look like it's broken down. And in fact, now that I'm looking at that, why would silver break down? I mean, I guess we can go back down $1, right? This chart, silver really came up. This really broke out much differently than gold did. So silver's playing catch up. I think we can keep the GLD on. I do like taking profits on SLV at this point. GLD, we're going to keep an eye on that, keep that position on. Now, VIX, the last thing. We're getting to 4 o'clock here, so I want to start heading into the crypto world. I know you guys definitely want to see what's going on in the Bitcoins and the Ethereums. VIX, so here's the deal. Retracements. What did I do?
It sounded, was that a Buterin impression, or was that just me?
I don't know. I just made it up. If I sounded funny, I didn't do it on purpose. But anyway, VIX here, 78.6. Look, there's a gap down here at 20. If the S&P just goes sideways for the next month, this thing's just going to burn the shit out of everyone. That's the problem here that you have with the VIX. The other thing that you need to understand is things like VIX term structure. You got to look at the forward dated options. That can affect the pricing here. Got a little bit of theta burn on this as it expired throughout the day. But I kind of like putting this position on even today. Even though I can't put it on, we're probably going to have to do it next week, which may be too late. It may be too early. But look how long this thing stayed oversold before it slightly bounced, came out. Now we're back in oversold. We're making this momentum divergence. We haven't confirmed it again. I mean, I don't know. I like it still.
I think as well, there's a couple of things that just don't seem right in this type of environment as well. Like if you look at if you put up against the VIX, the KCJ. So if you just compare it with the KCJ. So for people who don't know what the KCJ is, it's basically, where are we at? So that's in the 60s, it should be, if it's the right thing. So basically the KCG is basically the correlation against the market. So basically when it's a high correlation, like Thomas was talking about earlier, with, Starbucks isn't going to go up and isn't going to go down unless the market goes down. So this basically just gives the broader correlation of the market of the S&P against all the other stocks. So usually the spread of this isn't usually too high, but in this environment at the moment, you've got a really quite a large spread, to be honest. I mean, where's that at the moment? I think it's in the 60s at the moment. The KCJ is so. It's kind of it's kind of like an indicator to say, okay, well, what's really happening here? There's something that's not quite right. So I think until that starts to, let's say, correlate a little bit closer with the VIX, then I think we do have something that might go on. We might get some volatility, or the KCG will come down. So yeah, it's better with the KCJ. It's better putting it in a line chart rather than the crazy tails and wicks that you get with it, as you can see there. But it's a pretty cool tool to have to keep an eye on for anybody who hasn't come across it before. Thomas, you there, buddy? You seem to be on mute.
Oh god damn it! I just said all of that and I was on mute the whole fucking time.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, my internet. God damn it! And then I was like, oh, hang on. He's gone over to the options. It must have been me.
Dude, that was like that always used to happen to me. All right, so let me just quickly go over what I said.
Thanks, Ryan. Like, if it wasn't for you, man, I was just gonna sip away on my whiskey and be like, well, I can't hear Thomas.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks, Ryan. Real quickly, so the VIX, I like the $30 calls. If this thing is going to sell off, it's going to happen soon. I mean, look, I'm not talking about a new low sell-off. I'm looking at all right, let's trap some more people short kind of sell-off, enough to capture some volatility to the upside to make some money on this position. Look, the problem with this position is that implied vols are 125%. If this thing goes sideways each week, you're going to lose about 25% of the actual value of this option each week, if not more. I paid $440 for mine. This thing's bid $420, ask for $440. I still like it. Understand that the more sideways we go, the worse this position looks. I still think we're going to get it, so I don't mind putting it on. I think that if we don't get some type of downward momentum in the S&P and a spike in VIX in the next, why the fuck is this? Oh, right, we're doing this after hours bullshit. It does. Look, I still like it. It's expensive, a lot of risk here. Whatever you buy, if you buy this option, just understand you're probably going to lose the entire thing. So you buy one contract, it's $410. Just expect to lose the whole fucking thing. No way around it. That's what happens when you play the VIX. There's plenty of other ways to mess around with capturing expansion of volatility. This is the quick and dirty and you get fucked kind of way if you don't time it right. Traders warning? What's the, trader's prerogative? I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Whatever, that's the trade. Take it, don't take it, don't get fucked. Understand that there is a lot of risk with this one. All right, so that's VIX, that's SPY. We did gold, we did silver, we did Starbucks. Well, we didn't really do Starbucks, but yeah, look. Oh, we did do Starbucks. The other thing, dollar, we did that. What's some of the other shit that's on my watch list? Just some crap here. And then I'm trying to think what other trades I've been looking at here. People are messing around with copper. I wonder what that, like, Tech Resources is one now. Oh, you know what? Let's do crypto. Don't even. I'm just going off in my head.
You may as well go on to crypto. It's basically just as shit.
All right, fuck it.
It's just as value as it's the equivalent of just getting into whale coin. It's the same thing.
Let's do some crypto.
I'm trying to think of some old school Panda coin. I always liked I loved a bit of Panda coin back in the day.
Oh my god. All right, let's see what's going on in crypto. It's been one hell of a week. There's a lot of crap going on after the Bitcoin halving, including miners capitulation crap. I don't know. I watched some video by that crypto guy, and he's got some fancy schmancy indicator that shows when the miner's hash rate drops after halvening. It's like usually signifies a significant low. I don't know. I gotta like look at that indicator a little bit more. It was pretty interesting. If you didn't watch his video, I actually think it's worth a watch. I usually can't stand watching him, but I got sucked into it because I was, watching, Googling this lawsuit that came in against BitMEX, which is this really crazy thing where they name Arthur Hayes and a couple of other guys at BitMEX, including using some of these popular Twitter handles that people try to make money from shilling their affiliate links. They name like there's a whole list of this shit down here. They call Arthur Hayes a showman, and he's basically like the most sophisticated guy at trapping people into taking positions so that the exchange can profit off of them because they know where your stops are. I mean, this is really nasty. I didn't read through this thing. I just kind of Googled through some and found some YouTube videos explaining it, but damn, this is nasty, right? They name a whole bunch of these service providers. They use some data to show how many people are trading from the US based on Twitter and a couple of other platforms. Look, this is something you need to look into. If you buy and sell Bitcoin and you're trading on BitMEX, basically it's being exposed that people got fucked. Like, I don't trade on BitMEX. I never did. I think I did a paper trading account once because I was like, oh, 100 leverage. That sounds fun. And then I had no idea how to use it. Yeah, I had no idea how to use their platform. They had this slider thing, and I'm like, this feels like a toy. I'm not doing this. But look at this. They've got all these people, these BitMEX trader names. How the fuck did they, like, United States residents traders using LinkedIn of dozens of individuals who reside in the United States who identifies themselves as derivative traders on the BitMEX platform? I mean, if my name pops up here, I mean, it shouldn't because I don't trade on there. But like, what if your name's on there and you don't actually trade? Like, look at this. This is horrifying shit. Like, if you trade on BitMEX and you're in the US,
oh my god,
like I don't think you're fucked, but I definitely think that you're getting taken advantage of. There's some clauses in here where they talk about, like, they've got these YouTube streamers. They've got their affiliate, which we turned $350 into $35,000 trading challenge. Like all these idiots. Look, here's the thing. If you follow some idiot, namely me, or any other idiot out there, and they say, I turned 350 into 35,000, or I turned $35, whatever. If they don't publish every single one of their trades and show you how they did it with proof, don't believe a word they say. I don't care who the fuck they are. It's nonsense. Like, every single one of these fucking people they just want money, right? That's what it comes down to. Those headlines are catchy. They're search engine optimized. I mean, I get it. I'm trying to start up my own thing, so I understand. Like, you want to get all these keywords, you want to attract Joe Schmo from XYZ, in fucking Bangladesh who doesn't know any better, and it's sad. Like, you really need to be teaching these guys how to be trading, and that's fine. Like, I get that. But look, if you're following someone who claims that they're making all this money and they're not publishing their trades, like, ask them for it. Or, just understand that most of these people are full of shit. So, all right, rant over. The point is, this Bitcoin lawsuit is a shit stain on the entire marketplace right now. And I think that as people shy away from maintaining markets through these derivatives platforms, that we're going to see issues with Bitcoin. And I think this is just the perfect storm between the halvening, between this lawsuit, between the hash rate coming down, and then there's like this bullshit with the Satoshi coins moving, which, by the way, this article I found was interesting. I didn't read this, so I may just be making this up, but basically I know that Craig Wright is basically being told by the court that he has to show proof that he's Satoshi by moving the Genesis block Bitcoins. And basically what happened was somebody moved somebody moved some coins, like 40 coins, and everyone's like, "Oh, Satoshi's alive! Oh my god!" And they got
I
out
couldn't
there.
believe that. Like a 5% moved over what was it, 40 Bitcoin? Like,
Yeah. So everyone's like getting their Reiki crystals out and doing their like kumbaya and like hippy dippy shit. Like Satoshi's alive, and then meanwhile they find out that this actually isn't Satoshi's coins. I bet it was just somebody trying to fuck with this with Craig Wright, showing like, hey, I can move these coins, and it wasn't. Oh, you know what it was? He sent a list of addresses that he controls, and one of the addresses, and I'm just making this up, right? One of the addresses was controlled by somebody from 2009, and they're like, "Oh no, this ain't yo Bitcoin," and they decided to move it just to fuck with him and make him get fucked by the court. That would be my guess, and maybe that is. Yeah, so maybe this is what that article's talking about. I don't know. I didn't read. It's like 4 paragraphs. Fuck me. All right, so there's my guess. You can go read it if you want. It's just on the screen. And then Winklevoss, the Winkledoos. Actually was watching the happening with Shimon Vase, and they had the Winkles on there talking about their exchange, Gemini, and Ethereum. There seems to be a lot of hype here behind Ethereum. They own a substantial amount of Ethereum. I mean, sure they do. They've got all this money. They probably own a substantial amount of Doge, but they're not going to come out and say that. Actually, I'd be shocked if they did. It'd be hilarious. But this is bullish for Ethereum. Next piece here. You know what? That was something I just wanted to read for myself. That's not really anything. But here's the other thing. We got to figure out what cost of production is. I was reading through this Antminers thing where they launched all these new these miners. So I decided to dig up an article back from the end of 2019, December of, 6 months ago. This was interesting because they used current electricity and the cost of production back in December using some electricity to total cost ratio with the miners. And they found that basically, let me just make this full screen here, zoomy zoom. They put the cost of production with the electricity at about 53.65. That's the electricity cost. And then they're saying the total production cost was 8,900. I have a hard time believing that statistic. I think it's a little high. So they actually came out with a little bit of detailed breakdown here, which were daily transaction fees divided by daily Bitcoins mined, and they calculate this. And they're able to find the BTC miner's price using this. That comes out to about 7,300. So we've got 7,300, 8,400, 8,900, the electricity cost of 5,300. Yeah, I saw that, Ryan. Like, I don't think the cost of production is $2,000. I went on Bitmain, like, if I had 100 grand and I wanted to start up a mining operation,
nah,
like,
man.
yeah, so you're saying Hut 8 is...
Yeah, like in the last quarterly earnings for Hut 8, I mean, and you're talking about one of the largest miners in North America. They're mining at around 4K. So, I mean, and that's one of the largest miners. So, yeah, it's definitely not 2K. They're chatting out their ass. Chatting out their ass, mate.
Yeah, I mean, even though the S19s are new and they're supposedly cheaper, I still don't think that brings things down. Yeah, you'd need like 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour, which is crazy. And that's like in a vacuum. If you go on Antminer's website, Bitmain, and look at their Antminer's S9, you can see they've got this like breakdown, which is just like magic bullshit. Yeah, $4 to $6, like 500. Yeah, I agree. So look, you can go through and look at all this stuff, but the point that I wanted to make, if I had 100 grand, I would be buying something like this. Look at this. They have this basically a shipping container that weighs 3,200 kilograms, and you just get this thing shipped to whatever open field you want with like attack dogs all around it. This thing costs 14,000. Right. This thing costs 14,400. I don't know if this even comes with miners in it. I think it's just like a shell with all the electricity.
I think I'll have to get one. I mean, my other half wants dogs, so I mean, if this can be the way to mine corn and keep the other half happy days.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you do it? Look, you can fit all these miners in it. I mean, I could probably do out a spreadsheet and actually try to figure out what the current cost is to some reasonable degree. I know Ryan kind of did it. He said he's roughly at around Yeah, 2K Bitcoin. That's ridiculous. I would guess like between, look, this is just made up, right? It's between 4 and 6,000 is my guess. Yeah, that's just the half size shipping container. Exactly. Am I sharing the right screen? Yeah, I am. Okay. Yeah, so look, cost of production, yada, yada, yada. I don't think Bitcoin's going down to $2,000. In fact, I'd be shocked if it did. That would mean there was a real issue with the network itself and the fundamentals that go along with it. I mean, look, I don't think Paul Tudor Jones is buying Bitcoin at $9,000 to lose, 70% of his position. No, sorry, I don't believe that. In fact, I think that's just hopium for people who want to buy cheap Bitcoin. But look, there's no argument here that this looks like shit, right? This looks like a topping formation. This is your double top here with your neckline retrace. This is the time for me to be putting shorts on through Bitcoin. I have shorts on through Ethereum. I like expressing that, even though the Ethereum chart looks different. But what I would be doing is taking a short from this. I mean, look, I tweeted out last week, right? 9,700 to 10,000 was the ideal short to be taking on the higher time frames. I didn't put out that same guidance as I did last week because there was nothing new to put on, right? We still had that. Is this it? Yeah. I mean, here it is. Daily bear internals, but no price structure to work. Looking to play a short near top of range, 9,700 to 10,000, firing into the top and drop. I mean, here's kind of where that was into like a beginning. Here it is in last week. I mean, you got a couple opportunities to go short. Now, the question is this thing going to truly roll over and take this fib retracement? I think that's going to be interesting to watch into next week. Look, you've got a holiday weekend. Everyone here in the US seems like they're trying to take some kind of vacation, whether that's on their own rooftop or going to the beach or hiding in their basement. I don't know what it is, but I think we're going to see some thin liquidity, especially with the BitMEX lawsuit. And in fact, I could see this thing so thinly traded that we end up just going sideways to up again into the weekend. But more likely, and my scenario is that this thing's beginning to break down. So real quickly, shorter time frames, this is really where I'd be. Look, we already bounced off 61.8. So there's the trade that was for yesterday and today. Now we've got to look for that new signal to come down so we can look at the 4 hour for that. In fact, I think we already started putting in that short-term top. This just looks like crap to me. 4 hour, I think this thing's going to recharge a little bit more. Let's just see. Yeah, we couldn't. I think this thing still needs to get back up to, oh, there goes my fidget cube. It needs to go up to 9,500 to that 61.8. I think it makes sense to be firing off shorts at the 9,500 level again with tight stops, probably up to 96, 9,700, depending on what your risk tolerance is here. But that is what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. I think that is we're in a dangerous zone.
So what are you saying? You're going to go long?
No, I would not be mooning here. I don't think it's mooning anytime.
It's a real difficult one, to be honest. I agree. Like it's another case just exactly like the stock market. It's just, you know, have your setups of depending on the scenario that will play out, and then make the most out of the opportunity when something arises. But yeah, you've just got to weigh it. I agree.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think, I mean, I've been looking at a lot of the moving averages. So even if you're looking at the 50 EMA, you're looking at around 8.8, and then the 200 EMAs at around 8.3. So yeah, but I mean, again, I haven't collated the data together for the BTC against the broader market. So I'll get that ready for next Friday, and we'll see if the correlations come up or down. But I haven't had time to have a look, to be honest. So I'll get the data together, and we'll see what the comparisons are compared to when we last looked.
Yeah, that's interesting to look at next week for sure. My 200-day moving average went kaput. Let me just put that back up on here. This is usually white. There we go. And then make this thick and white. I don't know what that means. Okay, so look, even if we do get this short signal that ends up pushing the market lower, there's quite a bit of interesting activity in this, call it 8,100 to where we are now. I think that at the very worst case scenario here in the next week is that we retest these tails. Now, if we can, if we actually get below 200 period moving average here on the 4-hour, eat into some of these tails, and then put in another bottom at 78.6, I'll be pretty excited about this thing, because then it'll have consolidated, retraced into a fib zone, and then continued back higher. That to me means that we're pushing into 1100, 1200. So let's just examine that quickly as a scenario into not next week, maybe late next week, but the following week would probably be something that I could see on the table for that. And we'll talk about that next week as we get back from holiday. Oh, look at me. I'm all European from holiday. Anyway, look.
Vacations, man. You on vacations?
Yeah. Look, here's the issue that I have with where we're at. Man, these fibs are getting ugly. Let me just take off some of this noise here. Bye-bye, bye-bye. So that's gone. All right, so we can take this off because that's no longer valid. We can take that off because that's no good. Yeah, so like retesting the July highs, I actually want to draw a fib from this high, which is 2017, down to these lows. I'm probably close enough. 61.8 to 13.5. We're kind of consolidating at that 38.2. You know, if we reject again, I think, look, we already bounced, I guess, off that 61.8. So what this means to me off the higher time frames is that 61.8 level, if that is retested, there's a chance that we just break to new highs. But that's like real hopium here. And I don't, like, things would have to get really crazy in the rest of the market for this to be like the safe haven asset that people want to run into. It's possible. But to me, the way that this is setting up is it's bearish in the short term, right? Lots of toppy action. There would have to be quite the pop to bring this thing in. And I'm experimenting with this weird fib level. Somebody, I think the RAF is telling me about it, Bobo. Anyway, yeah, we can explore that next week. This is a little too bearish for me to get people hyped up for the bull scenario that comes in the middle of June. But it's there, right? There's no doubt that it's potentially on the table. This is a V bottom, right? Maybe we need to come all the way back down into that level, which is like
yeah, I agree. Like if people say, "Oh no, that's not possible," they're just too sucked in. I mean, there's so many scenarios that it could go down from here, especially. You know, I sound like a broken record, but the correlation with the S&P and BTC is the same, if you think it's not, if it's going to go up when the S&P goes down in general, well, you're just being biased basically. You're not looking at the data. So, I mean, even if the S&P does drop down, like of course you're going to have. I mean, to say that BTC is not correlated. Okay, yeah. Historically, it's not correlated. It's like 0.1, but at the moment it is. So, I mean, yeah. When people are like, "Yeah, we're going to go to 20K," all right, okay, but the S&P basically needs to have no volatility for the next 6 months. Then, so until it decouples, it's going to be the same as gold and silver. Like, if you have the S&P go down, like the confirmation of the decoupling will be the S&P dumps, and then gold and silver don't actually react to it, and that they actually then go back in and what they used to be and be negative correlated. So yeah, it annoys me. I get annoyed, Thomas, when people have come out and you're just like, it's opinion. It's not even data. What are you talking about? It just pisses me off.
They're just people walking by your window making stuff up.
Just like, yeah, you're supposed to be robotic. Get an Excel spreadsheet out, man. Then you'll make better trades.
Yeah, it would. Look, there's no doubt about this bear divergence that is now confirmed. Looks like shit. Here's where I see this thing playing out. If that 4-hour, that was a nice area to look for short-term bounce. And then over the next week or two, like this needs to be tested. This really never got retested. This original breakout level, this 7,400. I would actually expect 7,400 to be tested before new highs. I think we just need to come down, get these internals nice and happy again. You can see the bearish volume starting to peak out again. And the hash rate's coming down. I don't know if that's an indicator, but look, the technicals, they're there. Whether you want to take the setup, that's your prerogative. Ethereum, I have that short on. This is going to be much faster. Margin bananas. Where is it? Here we go. Ethereum 207. Look, this thing's come right back into a zone again as well. We've got the 1 hour. This is quite nice to look at. Boom, right into 61.8. Right here at that 207. We punched a little bit higher, but we're into overbought. We have a divergence brewing. I mean, all the makings for a classic bear short that I like to take. I think that could just come back in. I think we're going to be range bound on this thing. But again, same exact scenario on Ethereum as Bitcoin, where you come back down into that. Actually, let me put this on the 4 hour. I think the trade for the next couple hours is short, stop at the new highs here. I mean, maybe they pop it to 211, and if they do, I would short it again. But I would actually set my short here, 207.840, and then my stop at 210 with a target down around 198. So capture about $9 to the downside, put some leverage on. 5x, I'd probably capture about 9.4, like about 40 some odd percent. So that's not a bad trade for a couple hours. And then I would actually just abandon ship because it's Friday night and I would be drinking, and I don't want to be trying to adjust positions while drinking. Right, Jamie? Jamie's like,
sorry, what just happened?
What just say? Group. Yeah. Anyway, 4 hour. This thing looks like this tail needs to be eaten. This is kind of that Bitcoin tail, and then these tails down here on Ethereum. Those are also correlated to Bitcoin. That sounds so delicious, the way that you said that, the way you made that.
I'm living the dream. I've had my Bitcoin pizza.
Yeah.
I'm sipping on my whiskey and I'm listening to the bear just do his thing.
Just make up stuff.
Nah.
Here's the
baller.
170. Look at that. I love that noise. Here's the first stop target on Ethereum to the downside. In fact, this thing looks like it wants to paint another M before coming down. We don't have that nice divergence. That actually played out already on Ethereum. Maybe this thing ends up breaking out and Bitcoin doesn't because the Winkle Dinkles own it. I don't know. But 175 is that level that I'd be looking to be retested. That's kind of the last area on that dump that we saw on Sunday into Monday morning of last week, not this past Monday. I think we need to revisit those lows again. And then if we do and we fail through those, then your next level is simply looking left, and that 140 level. I mean, I guess that's possible, but that's not something happening in the next. Actually, I'm not even going to say that, right? Like, it's not going to happen in the next week, and then boom, tomorrow it's 140. All right, and then the other crypto dinkle coins. Oh man, there's so many crappy names out there, but one of Panda coin. Yeah, I'm not doing anything with that. Tezos. I actually like these coming down. Like, look at how similar all of these markets look. Tezos is one that people like because of staking. I think this is going to come down. I mean, look, it looks just like Ethereum. Atom, people were saying there were some bullish setups on that. I don't know if I see that. This kind of looks the same as the other ones. They're all going to sell. Like, if one sells off, they're all selling off. I don't care, what dominant chart you're looking at. I get it. Some of them are going to pop off, and you better have your orders working so you can, lock in your profits. But this is going to be not a happy market. Litecoin. I'm not even going to touch Litecoin. Where's the? Oh, this is the wrong watch list. So Coinbase, EOS. I actually ended up selling the rest of my EOS here. I think that this thing's in trouble. In fact, they have their own issues. Evidently, they have a lawsuit with Block One or something. A lot of this stuff's flying around. But actually, this thing got hit with bad news, and it looks a little bit different than the other ones. I mean, can this thing put in a double bottom here and then make new highs for no reason? I don't think so. But I sold this. I'm out of EOS. The other ones, Atom, right, we already went over that. Algo, somebody posted that. I saw someone on Twitter like, ooh, Algo looks super bullish. I don't even know what this thing does. I don't want to buy it. ZRX, look at this thing pumped. Remember this? And we're like, why is it pumping? Now this thing just looks like a monster short. I mean, look at this double top, boom, neckline. No div, but that looks really juicy. I wouldn't be buying that. And then last but not least is this OMG, which was listed on Coinbase. And of course, the Coinbase effect in full steam ahead here. Bam, this thing went live at about $1, and then it went up to $4.50. And you can see that price action on the 5-minute chart. There was actually a good 10 minutes where this thing spent above $4, or sorry, above 350. Pretty impressive. I was really tempted to buy that thing, but I am actually I have liquidated a significant portion of my altcoins now. I think I'm probably at 60% cash now. So I'm waiting for retracements across the board. I think they're coming. I think patience is going to be very helpful going forward. We're going to get a tremendous buying opportunity. People trade Link. This looks way different. Oh, wait, that's a 5-minute chart. I don't even want to go into that either. But I think that we're going to have a nice picture going forward out of Memorial Day weekend and into doing the show next week. But I think that's all I've got. We just did an hour and 5 minutes. I mean, I'm done, man. That's all.
I told you. Everybody, just as a disclaimer, he said half an hour to 45 minutes.
Oh, you're right.
We know the bear cannot handle such a short time period.
You're right.
But I'm impressed, man. I'm impressed. An hour and 5 minutes.
Thank you. I mean, definitely read up on this lawsuit and just keep it.
Yeah, send us the link. I haven't seen that, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe I will post this.
I don't keep on top of on crypto as much unless I'm short or long HUDs.
How does that? You know what? How does the HUD chart look actually? Let me see.
To be honest, I mean, you can't short it on. I mean, I use Interactive Brokers. You can't short it on there. It's not shortable, but it's yeah. I mean, profits taken. I'm all good. I'm happy. And then we'll see. I mean, yeah, me personally, I find it really difficult at the moment. Like, as I keep saying, like, you just got to take it week by week. Who knows? Some shit could kick off with US and China. Donald Trump could just be like, we're not going to do a trade deal anymore. And then that'd be it. Everything goes to shit by Tuesday. There's just too many scenarios and too many moving pieces at the moment to then be able to give, I don't know, like a good month, or you can't even give a month, really. So we'll see. We'll see, man. But just hodl your BTC, put it in your Trezor and chill.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good idea, as long as you can buy it cheaper. I posted a link to the lawsuit. If you are a lawyer and you want to read through this thing and tell me what it means, please do. I'm sure nobody will, but at least look it up. Try to inform yourself about what's going on if you are trading on BitMEX. This is going to be a problem, and I think it's going to weigh on the market for the coming week. So let's keep an eye on everything. I'll be active on Twitter probably after I get out of a drunken stupor on Tuesday. And I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Don't do anything stupid. And don't trade on leverage on BitMEX unless you want to get wrecked, because they know your stops, they know your targets, and they're going to F you set up the shit out of you. So have fun with that. Jamie, it's been fun. I really need to join you with a drink. I love doing this with you. Let's keep it up.
It's always good. Yeah, definitely.
Have a great weekend, buddy.
Nice. Yeah, for yourself as well. Enjoy wherever you're off to.
Thanks. Gonna go up and grab some beers in Boston, spend some time with the family up there, and
it's the most important thing.
Chill. Yeah, just chill. Thanks everyone for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks guys.
See everyone next week. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
All right, we are